The chair now recognizes the gentlewoman from Missouri, Mrs. Wagner, for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise today to call on the U.S. House of Representatives to bring my bipartisan Allow States and Victims to Fight Online Sex Trafficking Act to the floor. Yesterday, the Washington Post revealed that Backpage.com hired a contractor to solicit and create illegal sex trafficking ads. This confirms yet again what we have long known about Backpage. It is an online slave market that actively sells America's innocent women and children for sex. If a business in America held a slave auction, it is impossible for me to imagine that the auctioneer would be able to carry on with impunity. After all, we amended the U.S. Constitution to ban slavery of all forms in the United States many, many years ago. But this is exactly what is happening with Backpage.com. Backpage is selling our children into sex slavery, and we must hold them accountable. Backpage and other online slave markets can sell Americans' children over and over again because courts have misinterpreted Section 230 of the Communications Decency Act to shield websites from criminal liability for the sex trafficking advertisements that they facilitate. But the Communications Decency Act, passed over 20 years ago, was never intended to create a lawless internet where people can commit sex crimes online that they cannot commit offline. In fact, this misinterpretation of the CDA is the height of irony. Speaking in favor of the CDA in 1995, then Senator Exxon said, and I quote, "The information superhighway should not become a red light district. Once this bill passes, our children and families will be better protected from those who would electronically cruise the digital world to engage children in inappropriate communications and introductions." How sad his words ring today. The CDA meant originally to protect children. It has become now a safe harbor for America's pimps. The tech industry is rallying against any changes to CDA. But freedom of speech online and the enforcement of the nation's sex trafficking laws are in no way mutually exclusive. Sex trafficking is not a prerequisite for the free and open internet. Last year, in Jane Doe versus Backpage, the U.S. Court of Appeals for the First Circuit made clear that legislation is the only remedy to any conflict between the CDA and America's sex trafficking laws. In other words, Congress must clarify to the courts that the Communications Decency Act does not protect sex trafficking. And that is precisely what the Allow States and Victims to Fight Online Sex Trafficking Act will do. We must bring this legislation to the floor and take a stand for victims across the country. We cannot claim to be anti-trafficking advocates, then close our eyes and give a free pass to the websites that sell our children. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and I yield back.